This look like whiskey. Tell me when to go. Tell me when to go. I don't see no vision change.
But you gotta keep going.
Tell me when to go. Tell me when to go. Looking like a grown ass
I think she'll
man.
cut you
I'm
off
so
too.
over this.
At some point. Some of them cut you off.
I ain't driving. Why you gonna cut me off for the drinks? I ain't driving.
Hmm.
I'm on the yachty. I'm on the yachty. Let me see if I can do better with this view situation. Nah, not really. Cause you sitting in a chair across from me, it's like weird. The angle's weird, but whatever. I can still see you nodding back and forth, looking crazy. Smacking flies. What are you smacking flies? Who are you? Who are you waving at?
Just
You keep
vibing.
moving and twitching and shit. You look crazy as hell, bruh. Anyway, let's get to the next story, man. So I think this is the one of the last things about the. Oh no, it's not. Shit.
What?
We're still down into the fucking rabbit hole. So let me say, all right. So fuck Fauci. We already talked about him. I was making an appointment for our mom to go to.
Hi,
I,
mom.
I feel like one of the best. Hi, mom. One of the best. Yeah, definitely one of the best hospitals in the city. So I made an appointment for her to go. Boom. When I was making the appointment, the lady said, if you plan on getting a vaccine, you can't come to the hospital.
That's some old
What?
bullshit.
What? And so, one thing I've been doing, I had to show uh Trap Trap Boomin.
Yep.
Shout out to Trap Boomin. I had to show him a few videos about natural immunization, about vaccines and how they work. Literally a breakdown on how vaccines work inside of your body and what's in vaccines. And so, we watch these videos. And so, from that understanding and from that knowledge, we're giving you the disease. Even though it's a broken down molecular version of it, it's still a retard version of a disease that your ass didn't have moments ago
Mm-hmm.
before I gave you this fucking vaccine. And so to me, it makes perfect sense. Like, it makes perfect sense for them to say, you got the vaccine, but we don't want you here. That makes perfect sense. But here's my issue. If you claiming all of that shit that you talking about how good the vaccine is for you, then that shit don't make no sense at all.
Why
And
so many
so
medical professionals so skeptical? Why did they, it's too many questions.
it's too much misinformation, it's too many questions, and that's what my whole mostly only issue with this COVID vaccine is about. It ain't been tested for 7 years. There's too many questions. There's too many questions. What is it gonna do to you 7 years from now? What is it gonna do to you 20 years from now? Like, are the shit that they whipping up calling the vaccine really any good for us at all? And so, come on, if the motherfucking top doctors, fucking hospital in the area is like, yeah, if you getting a shot, we don't want you
Don't come in here.
here. Don't come in here. Like, but if you don't have the shot, you're welcome. Why does that not sound psychotic? If Biden and all the news reporters are blaming the surge of the Delta variant and the spread of COVID-19 in 2021, if we're really going to blame unvaccinated people, why would you rather have an unvaccinated person in the hospital than a vaccinated person in the hospital? That shit don't make no sense. Like I said, how do we trust big government? How do we trust the FDA? How do we trust the CDC? How do we trust who? And shit, that leads me to the other story. So who is extending the call for a moratorium on the COVID booster doses until the end of the year? They're literally trying to stop people from getting the booster shots. Why are they trying to stop people from getting the booster shots?
Don't know.
Research. We don't want to make any promises, Tedros said to, I don't know who he said it to, but this was on the CDC. We don't want to make any promises about what it's going to do and how it's going to work. And I mean, listen, as soon as Biden gave that, said he wanted to, as soon as Biden administration planned to roll out the COVID-19 booster shots, 2 people left the FDA.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Marion Gruber, the director of the FDA's Office of Vaccines Research and Review, and her deputy, Dr. Philip Krause, left, or they plan on leaving, the FDA. Like,
Don't
they
want
already
nothing to
turned
do
in
with
their
that.
resignation.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want shit to do with it. Biden said, this is what we're doing. The leaders, the heads of the FDA and the research, they said, we don't want shit to do with that. I don't want to be behind it. I don't want my name on it. I don't want my rich friends saying, why did you do this to us? Like, no. I literally had nothing to do with that. I do not support this message. And the World Health Organization is not, like, they're not even behind the shit. Come the fuck on. There's a reason. There's a fucking reason. There's a method to a madness. There's a reason, there's a point, and there's a fucking purpose. And y'all can keep ignoring this shit and acting like it's not real and acting like it don't exist and acting like it's not justifiable. Come on. You better stop listening. Basically, we're a news report and we talking shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, basically, we're just another source of media. And also, you know, we try to be entertaining, of course. But, like, at the same time, bro, you know, it's hard for me to say trust us over them. That's why I always say, do your research, bro. All I'm doing is checking the facts. The same facts that you got an ability to go check for yourself. There's always going to be contradictory statements available. You got to use the power of discernment to figure out which way is best for you to lean towards. Who's telling the truth? And it ain't even to me, it ain't even about telling the truth. It's about reading in between the lines. Because nobody is giving up 100% facts. There's no way I could give you 100% facts, because all of my information comes from essentially fucking liars and bullshitters too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit, coming from the same motherfucking media outlets sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Newsweek, CNBC, NPR.
All
like,
the major news
bro,
organizations were owned by the same 3 companies. Yeah.
the fucking Rothschilds? What?
Basically.
Family. How about families?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and that shit is even shadier. The family that controls the media. But
some real Resident Evil type shit
that.
happening.
Yeah, man, that shit's sick. So I just want to wrap up the rabbit hole.
Do we have a poem for this?
I may or may not have a poem inserted here.
I've been deceived, and I'm tired of the disease that renders it okay for you to play with me, or my life, or my family, or everything I believe, just because your agenda is to continue to be thieves, throwing us under and never above, pretending like you love us for clout with no doves, no money, no reparations, no opportunity to restore. After you take and exploit the things that you love more. You pretend like it's us, but we all know in the money that you trust, because that's something that you will never share. I pretend like I care. Yeah, I do live here. And so I must speak out against the things that are unfair. You give us these rights, but you take them away. And then you blame us and say it's because we're unknowledgeable. But is that really the truth? Or are you manipulating us in such a way that's uncouth? I don't know. I'm just trying to teach the game to the youth.
That was a great poem. Shit. So, listen, I want to wrap up the rabbit hole and get into a few short current events, and that's it for the unknown unknowns laboratory. So what I wanted to touch on, I didn't want to just talk about the right to refuse, without like, I mean, I don't really have anything to back it up, but just reminding people about the Bill of Rights. That's really what I want to do. Like, the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, like, we really need to re-examine these things that we learned in, I don't know what, like fifth grade or middle school, that we so easily forgot. So easily forgotten after taking the test, and may or may not have passed the test, on what the Bill of Rights is and what the Constitution is and what's the point. But I feel like some of the most important information they teach you when you're so young that you won't remember, so you won't question it when you get old enough to really think about things. And so, shout out to the Bill of Rights. So, the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom to protest, and like Mobius was talking about earlier, protection against religious beliefs and practices, something that we're seeing in regard to COVID being basically like, fuck you. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms, the right to be able to protect yourself and your property
Hooah.
in the United States. Mobius' favorite ones. Like, the Third Amendment prevents the government from forcing homeowners to allow soldiers to use their homes. And I'm not sure if a lot of people even remember that from school. But before the Revolutionary War, laws gave British soldiers the rights to take over private homes. And all I remember is like there was some type of what was happening in the United States? Like there was like some shortage on bullets or some shit. So they was just running down in people's home, like taking all their silver and crazy shit like that. So, that's
Which happened in every other country too. It's not limited to the British, but there's is probably like the best recorded historic version of that happening. You know, and because
we
in
need
it,
resources.
yeah, just kick down your
Give it
door.
here.
You know, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't. And the bad part is like it wouldn't necessarily be for the interests of the greater country. It just could just be like some localized
Exactly.
high-ranking figure who go, you know what? My soldiers need X, so we're gonna tax you more. You know, unauthorized, of course, but who are you gonna call? The military. So yeah.
We're just gonna take what we want. Sit down on the couch. Wow. What the? They try to make this shit like Saints Row. I said sit down on the couch. Over here smoking dope. Get your ass. Sit down on the couch, dopey. Dopey, sit down on the couch. It just keep making. Oh my gosh, my screen got blurry as shit. I ain't mean to hit it again. No, my screen is blurry.
Making
This
real
was that
pothead
Saints
moves right
Row.
there. Let me go
This
sit
was
on this
that
couch
Saints
right here.
Row.
Picks up a bong. I don't know how this got into my hands, but all right.
I don't know why this is happening. Okay, it's fuzzy as hell. I hope y'all enjoyed the distortions. The Fourth Amendment bars the government from unreasonable search and seizure, which on Audit the Audit and on a lot of other YouTube channels, shout out to where they're doing a lot of other auditors. Um, we're noticing that a lot of people are using the Fourth Amendment in the wrong way. And so, be really careful, because unfortunately, the government does not give a fuck about your rights. Like, if nothing else, this is what we've learned throughout the COVID vaccine, throughout the BLM movement, throughout the auditing movement. They don't give a fuck about your rights. And I mean, it's not like they didn't write it to be that way. There's the federal laws, and I feel like the amendments are it's on the federal level, and then there's the state laws that come in and say fuck your rights, and they literally put states in place to override this shit right here. So definitely watch out about how you're using the Fourth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment provides several protections for people accused of crimes. So basically, it's a right to a grand jury, or a right to go to court, a right to due process, a right to, double jeopardy is on there. So a person cannot be tried twice for the same offense or have property taken away without just compensation. And that's actually something I saw also recently on one of the auditing channels. They went to this dude's house. He was recording with his band, and they saw, oh man, Mobius. They saw all his motherfucking band and recording studio equipment, and they took that shit.
Damn.
If they didn't know, like the band was literally recording their practice, and they didn't know. So they're all on the guy's recording, they're all on his system of recording saying, oh man, what do you want? We just gonna take what the fuck we want out of here. This shit look lit. Oh, I know this officer is gonna wanna take everything in his, like, bro. The most inappropriate conversations, like
that
cops
happened
be
a couple.
sounding
That
like
happened a bunch of
criminals.
times, and well, they can see that's one of the big things that was trying to get changed in police reform, was like the cops can take your shit and then just sell it. you know.
Yeah, the definitions between their abilities for seizure,
Yeah.
and none of that shit had anything to do with the crime they accused him of.
Yep.
They were looking for drugs, and they literally found, like, I think it was like a half ounce of marijuana.
But they're good enough.
If
to
not
take
way
everything.
less than that. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to take your studio recording equipment. We're going to take your drum set. We're going to take all your microphone. Like, what the fuck? None of that has to do with it. And so they said on one of the reports, they tried to write it up and say, this is the money that he made off selling weed, but they had nothing to show that he was a dealer of any kind. And I think it was a situation where it wasn't even his, it was like one of his other band members. So it was just a lot of bullshit, and it took him forever to get his shit back. And of course, it was just crazy. So anyway, the Sixth Amendment provides additional protections for people accused of crimes, such as the right to a speedy and public trial by impartial jury in criminal cases, and to be informed of criminal charges. That's another thing that I've seen on the auditing shows, that the states or the police department specifically are writing regulation against. And so it's like they pull you over and they say, get out the car, I want to search you, let me pat you down, but they don't tell you why.
Yep.
And so according to the Sixth Amendment, you have a right to know what your criminal charges are. But if you're in a shady ass situation with shady ass cops, the last thing they want to do is tell you why, because they're really fishing like shit. They're literally fishing. They literally are pressing you out, and they have no reason, no probable cause, but they're fishing for one. And so I can't tell you right now until I figure it out, which is the opposite of what the fuck they supposed to be doing. So keep suing them, motherfuckers, guys. Keep suing them. The Seventh Amendment extends the right to a jury trial in federal civil cases. The Eighth Amendment bars excessive bail and fines and cruel and unusual punishment. And that's something that's controversial between me and Mobius, because I said I would rather you get cruel and unusual punishment, or AKA tortured, than murdered. But that's probably not really nice to say anyway. So anyway, let's go ahead and skip to the Ninth Amendment. States that the Ninth Amendment states that listing specific rights in the Constitution does not mean that people do not have other rights that have not been spelled out. And so, sovereign citizens. It's like, nah. Anyway,
No.
Shout out to the 10th Amendment. Says that the federal government only has those powers delegated in the Constitution. If it is not listed, it belongs to the states or the people. And so again, that, it's a little bit dangerous, because the states will literally come in and write legislation against these amendments that we're talking about. Like, it's it's crazy. They'll literally be like, oh yeah, this is the amendment. Yeah, I'm gonna write the absolute opposite. And one thing I forgot was on our favorite one. So shout out to the 10th Amendment, most definitely. But I got to backtrack to the 5th Amendment because I didn't read it straight off the board.
I plead the
Um,
fifth.
I know I ignored that one. People have the right against self-incrimination. And so that's fifth, whatever you say, fifth, what's your name? Fifth. Let me spell it for you. There are so many amendments, but I can only choose one, and that is the fifth. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Like I said, you already know, man. We got into some real ill fucked up shit. The government fucking sucks. This is a sick sad world. Who the fuck can you trust? But on a positive note, know your Bill of Rights, know your amendments. Start off with the amendments. Start off with these first 10 amendments because there's obviously the Constitution is long as fuck. And, there's more information and it goes into more detail. But, you know, share this information with your kids. Make sure your kids know the Bill of Rights. Make sure they understand. Get the Black Laws Dictionary, law dictionary, so you can help them understand what these rights really mean. Make sure your kid know what the Declaration of Independence is. Make sure they understand the Constitution because they're trying to take away our rights. And if you don't know what your rights is, like motherfuckers agree to the shit on the reg. On the reg, you just let the shit happen.
Look.
If you don't know no better, how
Look.
can you protect yourself? Go ahead.
Look, all I want to say is, remember the good old days where the biggest thing we had to worry about was your kids being forced to say the Pledge of Allegiance? I miss those days.
That shit is goofy.
You can't make me say it. Blah, blah, blah. And then everybody was like, but America, freedom, rah. Yep.
America.
Now, we gotta choose the bathrooms and the rights and your genders and abortion, and they're trying to take your guns, and they're trying to jab you in the arm with some shit. Yeah, man. We're in a really bad place.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody think this 5G shit is lit. And ain't nobody paying attention to everything else that's happening. And so the last thing when it comes to your rights, the right to refuse treatment, I just want to, let people know.
Do not resuscitate.
Every competent adult has the right to refuse unwanted medical treatment. This is the part of the right of every individual to choose what will be done to their own body, and applies even when refusing treatment that means that person may die. So like Mobius said, no, I don't want to be fucking resuscitated. No, I don't want to be on life support. No, I don't want to be a fucking vegetable and leaving it up to my family who may or may not want to kill me for my life insurance, or try to last minute set up some life insurance while I'm a vegetable, or just do all types of weird shit that families be doing. Like, no. Because some people just be selfish, like, I don't want them to die, but then they're a vegetable. Like, so, definitely we did an episode where we was talking about make sure you write your last will and testament. Make sure you get your parents' life insurance. Make sure you figure out what they want to do with the end of their life. And I know these conversations are hard, bro, but they gotta be discussed. So shout out to all the unknown laboratory fans, and I really want y'all to be participants. So yeah, hit us on the IG, man. Hit us on the IG, and we want to do these current events, or we just want to kill it.
I got one, which we may or may not.
Well, you wanted to do rest in peace.
What was that again?
You wanted to do the rest in peace.
I'm trying to remember what that was.
Well, I didn't want to take it from you, but rest in peace to Norm Macdonald, man.
Oh yeah. Well, not that one.
He was hilarious.
Not that.
He was hilarious.
He was hilarious. No, this was yeah. So Norm Macdonald just passed away. Uh, pretty much a
Born October 17th, 1959. He was a Canadian. Who'd have thunk it? I
fellow
didn't know he was a
Canadian.
Canadian,
Mike
but he
Mike
died in
Myers,
LA
Canadian, fellow Canadian.
September 14th. So,
Yeah,
RIP.
Rip.
Yeah.
He was a mainstay on Saturday Night Live, and he played in one or several movies with Adam Sandler. So he's a big part of our childhood in the '90s. So great in the comedy world, and
Hilarious.
he's hilarious. Dave Chappelle's hilarious. Nick Cannon's hilarious. But no. So what I was
Wow,
talking
he
about
was
was
in a movie with Dave Chappelle
which one?
called Screwed in
Ah,
2000.
damn, early Dave
Wow.
Chappelle. Damn.
Didn't know. We gotta watch that. Me and Mobius gotta link up and watch that joint Screwed.
Um, and so I don't remember if we had talked about this, but have you heard about the Fortnite MLK event?
Fuck no.
Okay, yeah. So
Let me look that up.
for
I have no idea about this.
for Martin Luther
Well, that was
King's,
been our real only gaming news for real.
yeah, it was something I had
Alright,
came across
Fortnite
again. Time
and
Magazine had
MLK.
sponsored something for Fortnite to hold an event for Martin Luther King, and it was put on by like I don't. There's a difference between Martin Luther King's estate and his family, so I don't remember who had set it up. But they set it up with Time Magazine. It was supposed to be this nice memorial honor thing where they transformed the world of Fortnite into a map that showed a bunch of events during the civil rights movement and stuff that Martin
Wow.
Luther King appeared in. Now, on paper, that sounds like a good idea, right? Teaching the future generation about stuff that happened, stuff that people are still alive to remember. Just like people who are alive
Yes.
that talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like this shit's important, so it makes sense. It's a good idea. However, despite Fortnite being one of the most popular and free games of all time,
Mhm.
the game in of itself is not conducive to that type of environment where you can emote and dance and everybody's very cartoonish and animated. It's like on one hand it makes it better because it's people of all walks of life. So you got a dude in a zebra hat, you got a cat, you got a dog, you got an alien running around. It's pretty representative of the US of A, like, well, all walks of life. But because of that, you also can't take it very seriously, even if they were to say disable the emotes, which they did, but it didn't quite work. Um, they disabled the emotes, but it just doesn't go far enough. Like people are still gonna run around, people are still gonna not take it seriously, and it got to the point where the reason they disabled several emotes was because there was like it was a Wonder Woman or a Catwoman event that had been previously sponsored, so they were contractually obligated to have that in there. But what happened was they had people doing the whip animation for Catwoman or Wonder Woman or whatever, and then they had people
Oh
kneeling
my
in front of
goodness.
these iconic memorials of MLK and civil rights movements and stuff. And so people were simulating being beaten like slaves. And so
Oh
Fortnite responded by
wow.
disabling several of the emotes, or I think they took away the emote wheel or something. But it didn't help because people would just go into the key. It's some file that you can access the entire emote wheel, and then they did it again, and we're dancing and emoting, and it was just like, no, somebody somewhere should have said this is actually a terrible idea, but no, just no.
I mean, it should have. To me, it sounds like it should have been not something that you introduced to the world. Um, I mean, in that manner. So I'm looking at this Polygon article from September 13th, and the title is Fortnite's awkward MLK tribute could have learned from this thoughtful history game. Three developers reflect how to better teach Black history in games, And then they have a quote here. I'm not sure whose quote this is, but it says, there's a thin line between being entertained by Black history in this country, which is very painful, and being entertained by Black culture. And so it also brings up the fact that Epic Games was being sued as far back as 2018 for copying popular dances from Black creators who get absolutely nothing.
Which is why
They
the
don't get no
TikTok ban
money.
is
They don't get
happening right now.
acknowledgement. Exactly, exactly. And so it's like, at the end of the day, I'm all for like them being like, oh, we're gonna do a city that looks like Washington D.C. and throw the MLK Memorial in there. Like that's cool. But then at the same time, I mean, like you said, they have just having the ability to simulate the beating, um, that's not good. And of course, they were playing the MLK speech, which I think is very awesome. But for me, it would have maybe been more appropriate to, and again, I'm not a developer of the game, and I'm just hearing about this. So I don't have, I haven't had a lot of time to like even think about what you're dumping off on me right now. But maybe during Black History Month, and not to say that that should be the only time we're teaching Black history, but just I feel like that's a time where non-African American people are aware that that's something that we need to pay attention to, or at least they're aware that this issue is being pressed during Black History Month. Maybe in the lobby having the speech play, or being able to have a particular character that's not necessarily Martin Luther King, but adding more African American or African centric characters to the game. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Because into
at the end of the day, I definitely, it's a nice thought process, and obviously it wasn't thought out as much as possible. And so, again, the question is, are we catering? Are we catering? Are we pandering? Or are we just trying to get away with murder? And so since you're being sued and have been sued and all the shit that's going on with the TikTok ban and stealing stuff from Black creators, to me, just if you put all of that together, not just only solely considering this situation, but when you add all of that to the picture, it's not a good look. And so since I only breezed over the article, and like Mobius said, we don't know if we don't know who they collaborated with. It just says 3 developers from Fortnite, right? We don't know who they
yeah,
collaborated with.
it was time Fortnite and somebody either from the estate or the family. Both of which contain somebody from his family, but the estate has like the rights to his like his
Image or
likeness,
whatever. Yeah, his
image,
likeness.
and then the family has access to something else.
To
It's one or
granting
the other.
something. But no,
Something, yeah. So it's like either way, it's pretty fucked up.
no, well, I mean, but what I'm saying is they should have had like a real, legitimate historian from the development of the memorial or either the museum. Like there should have been
Maybe.
more people who were paid to have involvement to give their 2 cents on whether this is a good idea and
Oh yeah, definitely.
how we should go about this. Because if you just getting a broke ass family member or somebody that's down bad, you know what I'm saying? Like of course they're gonna be like, oh, you gonna give me a check to throw my great grandfather's name in some shit? You know what I'm saying? Like there should have been more teamwork in trying to figure out how to do this. Because at the end of the day, they did not even have to put it in the game. They could have held a Fortnite virtual event about it where they gave out like they always trying to charge people shit on Fortnite, right? So they could
It's
have
the
gave
game is
out.
free, so you know
No, no, I know, but there's all the extra shit that they actually charge you
skins
for.
and stuff.
They're
Yeah,
trying to,
skins.
yeah, there's the million things that they try to charge you for on all free platforms. And so, they could have, attend this and get exclusive something, you know what I'm saying? Like, just for attending, just for being a part of it, where we can talk about it, where we can, make it exciting, a private virtual event where we discuss MLK and like other people in Black history who were like really important and why Black history is so important. Like they could have did a fucking TED talk, and I don't know what the equivalent of a TED talk is for kids, but like
A
they
TED
could.
Talk, you still talk, you still answer questions and stuff. But okay, so you're onto something though, because they do concerts regularly. Like a lot of games are doing concerts in game. Like Fortnite had Ariana Grande and Travis Scott and some other
Oh
people.
my gosh, that shit is
You know,
ridiculous. So you log onto the
and
game and you pay and you get to see what some
no,
shit.
I think it's free. You know, the the,
Yeah,
the
whatever.
the the musicians are paid by Fortnite, which
Yeah, no, I get
Fortnite
it.
is paid by consumers to for skins and stuff. So, it's a free concert as far as I know, and you just log in and go to a event area to then view it. So what Fortnite could have done is done a TED Talk in the same way, or have just a different build of the game where everything's disabled except just moving. You know,
Exactly. It should have been, yeah, something that's separate from actual gameplay where, because if that's why I'm talking about like giving shit away for free. Because if your goal is to really educate people, like what you did is force people into something that they're not interested in. And I'm all for that. What happened during slavery and why it happened should be forced upon every fucking American in this country because it is a part of our history and we are still fighting that shit with white supremacy. It's not like that shit is just gone, and it should never be just gone and disappeared like it never fucking happened. But at the end of the day, like there should have been some type of incentive for people who want to know, for kids who don't want to know, but you ain't got no choice. Like you're in here, you know what I'm saying? You're in this lobby now. Like you have to participate for X amount of time, and so whatever. I mean, Mobius just sprung that on me. Man, that's some deep shit that I had no clue about. And if I knew about it, I definitely would have wanted to participated in, and I'm sure it's been kicked off the platform at this point.
oh yeah, that
But
was a while ago.
yeah, I mean it's at August, so um, I definitely I wish I could have been a part of that. But it is what it is. And that's another place. If we put a one-on-one match on Fortnite, we could broadcast from there, right?
I don't know anything about Fortnite.
Well, you gotta download that shit. But I'll check it out. I've never been on like a one-on-one jump. But anyway, all right. So damn, you fucked me up with that Mobius. Damn. The last few current events that we got. Rest in peace to Leiden Boykins, a 12-year-old child who was murdered. Well, they don't want to call it murdered, but he was killed by a police officer during a high-speed chase after the police officer, without any permission or consent from his um, supervisor, what do you call it? His department, on doing a
Supervisor. Yeah.
deadly pit maneuver during a high speed chase where the officer in question was actually aware that there was a 12-year-old boy in the car. So once the pit maneuver was done on the vehicle, the car flipped over into a ditch and the boy was killed. So I don't really want to get into the details. I just want to say, rest in peace. I'm really sorry for the family of this child, um, because they weren't driving the child actually. It was somebody else. So again, I'm really sorry for the family of the child. I'm sorry that another 12-year-old brown boy was killed by police negligence, and it's just it's just really unfortunate. It's just really unfortunate. So, like I said, I don't want to really get into too many of the details, but our lives do matter. And, if you're in a situation with a cop and you're afraid, call the police. But at the same time, I don't know what else to tell you because this shit is fucked up. It's just fucked up. It's all fucked up. And so the other story that we had, um, a Trump supporter killed a Biden supporter. Is actually his neighbor. When I looked this story up, like 20 different stories popped up. So apparently, a lot of Trump supporters have been killing Biden supporters who just have a flag up at their house or a fucking one of those little things that you stick in your yard that's like, I voted for Biden. Like it's sick as hell, and it ain't right. A Texas woman shot dead, and her husband was shot 5 times for supporting Joe Biden. And so, they said, I guess when they went through the guy's house or went through all his stuff, they saw that apparently he had some type of plan set up to murder more people. So luckily, they were, I guess, his first, may have been his first victims, and he's caught now. But they're also saying the alleged killer apparently believed the couple were involved in satanic activity. And I think that's just a bullshit ass excuse to kill people that you don't like. So I'm not getting too much into that. Go ahead, check out independent.co.uk. Check that story out from them.
I'm in front of you.
Yeah, no, I see you walking circles around me. I see that this is happening. Actually, I'm gonna go stand next to your helicopter because it looks cool, or turn the view around from that way. So, boom, standing next to the heli. So, I did have a story that I wanted to get into, but I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to end this episode on a disgusting note. But lastly, I'll talk about, why have airline incidents increased 300%? So this is just more of something to point out. Mobius pointed out that they said that they're now going to start teaching flight attendants. They're going to be taking some type of training. What did you say?
Yeah, just some self-defense classes
Yeah,
to deal with unruly
self-defense.
passengers. They
Yeah.
don't like the idea of taping people to chairs. So, yeah.
I mean, from what I've seen, they've been kicking motherfuckers off flights. They've been landing flights early. They've been fucking kicking people off the flights before the flight even happened. Some black dude, I think, took his shoes off on the flight and they was threatening him. That shit sounds absolutely crazy. So, shout out to the Karens, but also shout out to like people who are just like unjustifiably being picked on by flight attendants because they think that they are dead ass the cops of the sky. Like they could literally ruin your fucking day, your vacation, like whatever you had planned and going on. They know they have power over that shit. And I mean, I feel like that we was having this issue with airline security years ago. Like
Yeah.
sometimes people cross the lines. Like there's a difference between a security guard and a police officer, and motherfuckers be losing their mind. Like so. Anyway, this has been the unknowns laboratory. We pulling off. We swerving in the helicopter. Fuck GTA 5. And they 30-year anniversary of never coming out with a new game.
Press B.
I don't know what I have to do to get Mobius to buy Saints Row, but I would rather play fucking Saints Row than GTA any day. But I say that to say the next few episodes will be coming live from GTA on Saturday night.
Probably.
So thanks for joining us, y'all. Really appreciate your time and your energy and your effort. Many blessings out to your family, your friends, all